Comparing these four at your table, compared to the parent functions listed here. The parent function all of these are matching up with is this one here. Let's see if I can bring it. There it goes. So here's my parent function. X squared. There's that one. If I have negative x squared, it is reflected over the x-axis. That's what you want to start getting into, is saying it's reflected over the x-axis. You can't really say flipped. Yeah, you can really say upside down, that's okay. Because I could flip it in any direction. What happens for this one? It moved to the right 3 spaces. So if I have x minus 3 squared. There's your first one. There's the second one. It is shifted to the right 3 places. So this one was reflected over the x-axis. This one is moved 3 to the right. Why is it 3 to the right? It's minus 3. If you remember from vertex form, last section, it's always the opposite of what's on the inside. This one right here, what happens to it? Moves up 4. The number on the outside shifts it up and down. Just like when you did the last section, whatever's on the outside stays on the outside. Signs don't change. What happens with this one now? Moves to the left, how many places? 2, and down 3. Moves to the left, 2, down 3. You shouldn't have to grab the calculator to look and tell me how things are going to be transformed. These ones. What parent function am I looking at here? Absolute value. All right, looking at these. We don't even need to graph. This negative out front does what? Reflects it over the x-axis. Now, this was the one some people had a hard time with. This 2 out front. Okay, absolute value of x. 2, absolute value of x minus 4. There's the first one. There's the second one. Moved it over 4. But look at the actual opening. Is it open the same exact width? It's cut in half. So what happens here? It is shifted to the right 4. Bless you. This 2 out front, it compresses it. Compression, which way, side to side? Horizontally. Compressed horizontally. Compressed horizontally by 2. Okay. Now, this one here, the 2 is now on the inside. So all I'm going to do is take this 2 from the outside, throw it on the inside now. There's the original one. There's the other one. What did it do here? Why only 2? That 2 is in the front. what you're really doing is setting that equal to 0 and solving. So negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2, which means it moves to the right 2. And what else happened to it? It compressed horizontally by 2. It happens the same for both. If the number's out front, it just messes with it horizontally and vertically. If it's on the inside and it's attached to the variable, it messes with the compression aspect or the stretching aspect and how it's shifted. Yes? It's not going to be a 4. This is going to affect it. Like, I'm not even going to graph this one. This tells me what happens. Moves up 2. What does this 1/2 in front of the x do to my graph? Okay, it's going to stretch it by 2. Because this cuts it in half, so it's going to stretch it horizontally by 2. So a stretch horizontally by 2.
Smaller than 1, it stretches it?
Correct. And it moves over 6. Why 6? 3 divided by 1/2 is 6. So it moves to the right 6. If I put it in the calculator, if I graph it, there's the original. It's moved over 6 places. It's moved up 2, and now it's wider. The reason why it's wider is because I multiplied it by 1/2. Negative flips it up and down over the horizontal. If the negative's not out front, it's just normal facing upwards. There's no negative out front here. That's the regular one. If I put the negative out in front here, if I put the negative out front, it takes the graph and flips it. Here's another way to look at it. This is just pretty much putting in words. You don't have to write everything. You can write what you want to understand. It's pretty much what you just saw in all the graphs. This is right from the book. Took a picture, threw it in the notes. All it says, vertical shifts, moving things up and down. The number on the outside, right here, is the one that moves it up and down. The number by itself is the one that moves it up and down. Moving it horizontally, it's always what's on the inside of the parentheses. That moves you left and right, but it's the opposite of what it says. Reflections, that's where you have a negative in front of that x. And then for the transformations, whenever you have a number out front, if it's greater than 1, it takes it and compresses it. If it's between 0 and 1, it stretches it. Got to think once it hits negative, it takes the graph and flips it. So I just can't say less than.